It began in a moment when people still believed the world was becoming kinder. The late 1960s were filled with music, freedom, and the idea that love could fix everything. Doors were left unlocked. Strangers were welcomed. Trust was currency. And then, almost overnight, that innocence disappeared. Welcome to Unresolved Casefiles. In August of 1969, Los Angeles was a city caught between two eras. Hollywood glamour still shimmered on the surface, but underneath, something darker was forming. The counterculture movement promised peace and unity, yet beneath its slogans, confusion and disillusionment were spreading. Young people were searching for meaning, identity, and belonging. That search led some of them to Charles Manson. Manson did not look like a criminal mastermind. He was not powerful, wealthy, or influential in any traditional sense. What he possessed was something far more dangerous: the ability to read people, isolate their fears, and slowly reshape their reality. He gathered followers who felt lost, unwanted, or disconnected from society, and offered them purpose. But that purpose came with a cost. On a secluded ranch outside the city, Manson's followers lived under his control. He dictated what they believed, who they trusted, and how they understood the world. He spoke of an impending collapse, a coming war that only he could see. Over time, his words became law, and his paranoia became theirs. What makes this story so unsettling is not just what happened, but how easily it happened. These were not hardened criminals. Many were young, idealistic, and searching for connection. How does a desire for belonging turn into unquestioning loyalty? How does a belief in peace transform into something capable of violence? The murders themselves shocked the nation, not only because of who was targeted, but because of what they represented. They shattered the illusion that danger came from the outside. This time, it came from within a movement that claimed to reject hatred and harm. For the first time, America had to confront a terrifying idea: that violence could wear the face of freedom, that chaos could hide behind ideals, that someone preaching love could be orchestrating destruction. The media coverage intensified the fear. Newspapers and television broadcasts painted the crimes as senseless, random, and unstoppable. If this could happen in wealthy neighborhoods, in quiet homes, then nowhere felt safe. The sense of communal trust that defined the decade began to erode. Parents looked at their children differently. Neighbors eyed each other with suspicion. The optimism of the 1960s gave way to caution, fear, and locked doors. Charles Manson never physically committed the murders himself, yet his influence was undeniable. He had convinced others to act on his beliefs, to surrender their morality to his vision. This raised a haunting question that still lingers today. Is the most dangerous person the one who commits the act, or the one who convinces others that the act is justified? The trial that followed became a spectacle. Manson used the courtroom as a stage, reinforcing his image as both prophet and monster. His followers echoed his words, reinforcing the unsettling truth that his control had not ended with his arrest. The nation watched, transfixed and horrified. But beyond the headlines and the notoriety, the deeper impact was cultural. The murders marked the symbolic end of an era. The dream of peace and unity collapsed under the weight of fear. The idea that love alone could guide society forward no longer felt safe. From that moment on, America changed. Security became a priority. Trust became conditional. The belief that evil was distant or obvious disappeared. The Manson family murders forced society to accept that darkness could emerge from places that once felt harmless. And perhaps that is why this case still resonates. Not because of the violence itself, but because of what it revealed about human vulnerability, about how easily ideals can be twisted, about how the search for meaning can lead people into the hands of someone who offers answers, even if those answers are lies. The fear that replaced Innocence in 1969 never fully faded. It reshaped how generations understood safety, authority, and belief. It changed how people looked at movements, leaders, and even themselves. And it leaves us with questions that still matter. How do we protect ourselves from manipulation? How do we recognize control before it becomes dangerous? And how do we ensure that the search for belonging never costs us our humanity? If stories like this matter to you, if you believe understanding the past helps protect the future, subscribe to Unresolved Casefiles. Liking the video helps these stories reach more people, and sharing keeps these lessons alive. Because some crimes don't just take lives, they change the world.